Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Couple with Katie time. It's Friday. So good to be with you. Happy Friday. You made it through another week. Yay, we all made it through another week. I'm very excited this morning to be joined by Sam Francis, who's a positive parenting and relationship expert. And we're going to have a chat this morning about what it takes to blend a family together. There's a lot of modern families around and about now, right? I'm in a modern family, Sam's in a modern family, so many people are. We're all learning how to blend our families. No one's really shown us how to do it before. We're quite the new generation of this. And it can be a little bit of a minefield. It's something to be navigated, and it's something to enter in very consciously and intentionally, from a very loving place, right? So rather than a fearful place, we don't want to go into anything in life from a place of fear. We want to go in consciously, yeah, lovingly. Sam's just joining now, so I'm going to see if I can invite her onto the call. Hey, Sam, 1 second. Let me see if I can get you in. Sam, can you do me a favor and see if you can request to join? It's not coming up automatically for me. So can you see on your screen, I'm presuming you're on your mobile as well, by the way, Sam, I hope so, because it won't work unless you're on your mobile. See if you can, there's a request to join, because it's not coming up, allowing me to invite you on at the moment for some reason. So those of you who are just joining, I am in the process of trying to get connected with Sam Francis. She's a relationship expert. We're going to be talking about blended families, and I'm hoping I can add you, Sam. Wondering if you can try to request. 1 second. No. Oh, it's not happening automatically like it should be. Oh, there we are. Now it is. Good. Okay, hold on 1 second. This takes a minute. I think she's coming. There she is. Hi, darling.
Hello,
Good.
I'm here.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Yeah, really good. I've been up early.
Excellent.
I've done my yoga. I've been on my dog walk. I've got my coffee. I'm like ready to go. You got your coffee?
As am I.
Yeah, need the coffee. I'm fairly unapologetic about my morning coffee. Wasn't that long ago I didn't drink coffee though, you know? It's like, it's a new habit for me, and I quite like my new habit.
No worries.
Gorgeous to see you this morning. So Sam and I were actually on a call together last night because we were co-hosting really, I suppose, but you'd come into my group, my Daring and Mighty Love mastermind group. So this is a very small, intimate group of women who are calling in love, and I take them through a 14-week deep dive, like proper deep dive process on becoming the energetic match for what they're calling in. And it's a real piece of clearing out all the blockages on all levels, emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, all of it, where like we really clear through the stuff so that, oh, hi Amber, good to see you, darling. Not working, yay. So we're clearing through all the stuff, removing the blockages, and things that come up that are blocked calling in somebody can include a fear around blending your family with somebody else. I know for me it was a very, very real piece. We were talking about this last night on our master class, Sam.
Yeah.
I was a single parent. I had a little boy, and we'd been together, just the two of us, for 8 years. By the time I met James, and the idea of blending my family with his family was really scary. We had a really tight little unit, he and I. We were super connected. We loved our little life together, but I was really ready to blend it with someone, and that was a very conscious, intentional experience. And Sam is an absolute expert on guiding people and helping families to come together. She helps relationships, helps couples to navigate this stuff. But before we dive into our conversation, Sam, do you mind sharing just a little bit about yourself and and what work you do and why you're doing it.
Okay, so my name is Samantha, or Sam, and I'm a mum of two girls, 9 and 13. And I am branded as a parenting and relationship specialist, but essentially my work is to work with women to help them to reconnect any kind of disconnection that's happened in their parenting or their relationships. But more so, it's about going on a very deep level and a journey within the relationship, within themselves. And it's a big mission and passion of mine to support as many mums as possible, because of my own personal journey from 13, 14 years of domestic violence, leaving that and feeling absolutely broken, and entering into this new dating world and learning to adapt, and throughout the journey making, I wouldn't call them mistakes, having experiences that when I reflect back, it always kind of came down to my lack of self-love. And so I went on a journey of learning to not love myself again, but learning to just love myself, because I don't think I ever did. I was never taught how to do it. And I went on that journey for myself and for my two girls, because in no way did I ever want them to go through the experiences that I went through. I had to learn some tough lessons, but they were, upon reflection, some really big moments in my life that got me to where I am today. So I'm really passionate about helping mums, especially that have gone through some kind of trauma or abuse, and helping and supporting them to navigate what can seem like a really scary space, the dating world, the relationship world. But I always say that it seems a lot more scarier when we're carrying stuff within ourselves, within our own relationship within ourselves, that needs addressing, awareness and healing as well. And that's why I love doing what I do.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so when we were speaking last night, so the way we approached the masterclass, so just if you're just joining, Sam came in, she's in one of the experts. So I have various other teachers and experts and coaches coming into my Daring and Mighty Love program, because I want it to be a really holistic experience, and I don't want to claim like I know it all. And having run the program several times over the last 3 years, I've started to see the areas where women are blocked to love and the areas where I'm not expert. And so I'm calling in experts to support me to run this more holistic program. And Sam, I've invited her in because, like I was saying before, like one of the biggest blocks is the fear around bringing a man into your safe little bubble with your children, who are your most precious thing, right? And when we were speaking last night, and there was nothing scripted about this, but it was absolutely music to my ears when you said it, Sam. You said, I was like, well, let's talk about your top tips for blending a family. And the first thing you shared, you know what you said. So do you remember? It's about self-love.
Take time. I think I said take time, go slowly.
Well, yes, yeah. Yes.
Don't rush, don't get in your head too much. And I think I said, essentially, it's about the relationship with you first, and making sure
that was the bit that I just went, oh.
Because it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, you haven't got that relationship going on for yourself first. You're going to find your external relationships really difficult.
Yeah. So what is it about your relationship with yourself that needs to be honed to be able to begin? I mean, okay, so we know the relationship with yourself needs to be honed to even attract in a partner that's going to be a great vibrational match. Yeah. Once you've met them, though, because that's when the real work begins, like,
oh, absolutely,
right? Yeah. And I want to talk to you about the mirror that is a relationship, because I think that's really important too. So let's cover all of that. But as soon as when you meet the guy, whether he has children or has never had children, or maybe for some women, whether maybe they don't have children and he has children, there's like a navigation to be had and some bloody brave conversations to be had.
Yeah.
So where does self-love and knowing yourself, how does that suddenly become even more important?
It has to, because, you know, in situations like this, you've got to think, right, like you just said, we may have to have some maybe uncomfortable conversations that bring up some stuff, or, you know, conversations that may potentially lead to the other person or myself feeling that I don't feel this is the right connection for me. And the thing is, we have to love ourselves enough to honor our truth, to speak from our hearts, to speak from a place of aligned boundaries in terms of what it is we want. Because a lot of the time we will go along with things, or we'll shape shift, we'll kind of fit into a mold, and it's inauthentic and it doesn't feel good after a certain period of time. I'm very much come from the approach of just be authentic, be you, be honest, speak your truth, and don't come from that space of fear with it. Come from the space of, okay, if I say my truth to this person and actually they feel it's not right for them and they want to walk away from this connection, that's okay. It's okay for them and it's okay for me, because it just means that I've got space open for somebody that may well be a better fit. And I've not lied to myself. I've not pretended. I've been honest.
Yeah.
And I've trusted myself to be honest. And I think you can't ever really see yourself as losing in a situation like that, because that person gets to be with someone that feels right for them. You've done what's felt right for you, and you create space to attract in another person when you're ready that feels right for you.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And again, I was sharing it in our masterclass last night. And I'm going to do it today. I must dig out my journals from that time, because I've got to draw like stacks of journals that go back to when I was 13 years old, right? So
Wow.
yeah, no, I have them all. Bit scary. Like when I'm not of this world anymore, I'm sort of like, do I really want people nosing through those? I don't know that I do.
Yeah.
But oh my goodness, I don't know how my journal didn't like combust into flames with the amount of writing I was doing in it when I first met James. It was such a process of allowing myself to feel my feelings, feel the fears that came up, explore them, rationalize them, bring myself to a place of empowerment and truth so I could speak my truth to him from a place of love. And boy, oh boy, was I having to summon up courage again and again and again to share my truth with him. And like you just said, like there's no one loses, because I mean, the fear could be, if I speak my truth, he's going to disappear, and then I'm alone again, and then I have to go on a bloody horrible search trying to find my guy. But actually, it's a process of I think the first weeks, months of a relationship are predominantly about exploring, like, is this the right fit? And if you in those first weeks and months cannot speak your truth and feel safe to, and be received well, and have your needs met, like what you ask for, can he follow through with that? Then if that's not happening, it's not the right fit for you, and you need to know that sooner rather than later. And it's a way of building trust, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's a big one as well. I think for me, as a single mum, I had this belief system going on in my head that, you know, who's going to want me? You know, I've got 2 kids, baggage, you know, okay, the father wasn't in the picture or anything, but still, you know, I'm a single mum, and it just had such a negative energy connected to it.
It has such a weight, doesn't it? It's a real weight.
Oh, you know, and it's just, that's the state of mind I was in before. You know, I was scared that people would just be like, look at me and judge me. But the truth of the matter is that, you know, I was judging myself, and I was putting myself down because of what had happened. I hadn't forgiven myself, I hadn't loved myself enough. So I was going out there with this belief that, you know, and almost I had abandonment issues as well playing out in there as well. So at the beginning, when it came to speaking my truth, I really did hold back because I thought, oh, okay, I've got one in. What if I speak and he's gone, you know? And
I've got
it
one
took
in.
one,
I've
yeah,
reeled him in.
fish one way, I've reeled one in. Got to keep him here now. So, and it didn't take until I did speak my truth about something. I can't even remember, something so minor. And he responded back. He didn't react. He responded back, and I thought, oh, okay, this feels comfortable.
Yeah.
Maybe I can do it again.
Yeah.
It's a big thing, especially with women that have gone through trauma or some kind of abuse or anything that's left a very a deep coding and imprint in terms of speaking your truth, especially as a child. If you were not welcome to speak your truth, if every time you went to speak and be honest, you were shut down or you were shamed or you were blamed, it's something that runs quite deep. But it's definitely something you can overcome, you know, especially if you're in the right relationship. It can be very healing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm a big believer in the importance of addressing those childhood wounds, those childhood experiences where we made something mean something about our value and our worthiness. That's a huge part. That's, as a therapeutic coach, that's a huge body of work that I'm doing with women. What were you doing? Like, when, because I think there might be some women that watch this. There's someone now, and later this is going to go out, you know, everywhere. There's going to be women watching this set thinking, well, that, yeah, I get it. Like, I'm supposed to know myself, and I'm supposed to have strong boundaries, and I'm supposed to be able to speak my truth. How? Like, where do I even begin with that? And I'm wondering, because it doesn't just happen overnight.
No.
And of course there's an element of practicing and it being, you know, awkward before it's elegant and so on. But like, do you mind sharing what you did? Like, what was your personal growth journey to be able to have those boundaries and know yourself so well?
So one thing I really did lack was boundaries. And it took a long time, as you say, it took a long time to kind of create boundaries and maintain them. So at that time as well, I was doing my Reiki and doing my Reiki master and teaching and things. So I was using energy as a way of self-soothing as well. When you know, I just kind of, I was very aware of myself. I'd reached this stage where both my relationships had failed, or in my mind had failed. And I thought, no, there has to be something internally going on that's showing up here to me. There is a mirroring going on. So I thought, you know, it's so easy to blame the other person. It's so easy to say he's this and he's that. But what about me? And I did a lot of delving into sex, relationships, masculine, feminine dynamics. I researched a lot. But I'm a firm believer that you can read a lot. It doesn't mean you're going to transform. You have to put things into practice. You have to embody it.
Yeah.
So the relationship that I was in, that I'm still in, it was one of the most triggering relationships I've ever been in. But I believe it's because I had the self-awareness. So whenever there was a moment where I would feel fear coming up, where I would feel my chest going really tight, where I'd feel like I was triggered, I always had to bring it back to the point where that trigger was my trigger. That's my stuff coming up, and it's also my opportunity to heal it. When I went away and I journaled, I did a lot of journaling, I did a lot of kind of speaking to myself, speaking to my higher self. I reached out and got additional support from coaches and therapists and things. But I got to a stage where I was able to bring awareness to my trigger, not speak it, not project it, not blame it on anyone. And whilst bringing awareness of that trigger, it's like the full steps that I talked about last night. You know, what is this feeling? What are the thoughts coming up? Where is this really coming from? How can I nurture myself right now? I developed a relationship with myself, because there is no straight line or straight cut to loving yourself. It's like this and a bit like that.
Yeah.
Right? And it's trial and error. Like, 1 month something might make you feel really good and feel like you're moving forward, and something might make you feel like you're set back. But it's about always remembering that you are home. So for me, whenever I was triggered, whenever I had difficult moments, I addressed it within myself first. And then when I was in an aligned state, when I was in a place of clarity and I felt like, oh, okay, I've addressed that trigger. That wasn't actually about him. That was about what happened like when I was 7 or 8.
Yeah.
You know, I would be able, if it was needed, to communicate that to him. You know, and that was just something I practiced again and again. And like I said, it wasn't always necessary that I communicated it. But for me, within myself, I could always know when I'd addressed it. And that for me is the ultimate self-love. When you can hold space for yourself, when you can say, gosh, this is all my rubbish coming up right now, you know, I didn't even know I had this, you know, and actually work yourself through it, not wanting to rush things, not wanting to, you know, get somebody else to come in and fix you because you're not broken. It's about holding space for you and knowing that you have your own back. You can have your own back emotionally, and anyone else that comes in to support you is additional. It's a cherry on top. Yeah. But it's about having your own back in a very loving way, not in the sense of, I'm going to have my own back because nobody else can be relied upon and everyone lets me down, which is how you feel at the beginning when you're still very wounded, right?
Well, and that's your victim archetype that's looking for healing. Yeah. Yeah.
So I did a lot of that, and I've done a lot of continuous learning, continuous implementation in my relationship as well. And I have days where I close off. I have self-care days. I know some people call them goddess days, where, you know, I have date nights by myself. You know, I'd go to when we could, I would go to places by myself. Yeah. I would do things by myself and just enjoy it. And if you took me back 13, 14 years ago, the thought of being by myself was petrifying. It would be petrifying. But I think when you can sit and enjoy your own company, that's how you know you've reached a pivotal stage in the relationship with yourself.
Yeah, totally. Totally. So I want to bring the conversation to, again, we touched on this last night and we've already sort of touched on it today. The mirroring.
Yeah.
So I know for me, so I have the school of self-love. I was a self-love expert, self-love coach, and therapeutic coach, and doing all sorts of different things. Oh, by the way, part of my journey was Reiki as well. So so a big part of my own healing journey was my Reiki practitioner studies and so on. Yeah, amazing, really big part of it. And yes, so I got to a place where I was good on my own. Like, I loved my own company. I was traveling. I was my business was really going well. It felt so purposeful. I felt I liked myself. I enjoyed hanging out with myself. I would chat with myself. If I needed a hug, I could give myself a hug. I didn't feel weird about it. You know, I'd lay on the couch and just cuddle myself. I thought that was cool. I got to a place of feeling really, really secure in my own skin. So then there's an element of, well, I'm not going to rock the boat on this. And there's an element of, I don't need anyone. I'm good. Like, I've got all the things. Why would I bring a man in to ruin it? Hi, Charlotte. Good to see you. But, you know, like, well, you can't be a transformational coach and not be committed to always going to your next level, right? And so I could stay there comfy and cozy and like, I'm amazing at self-love. Or I could challenge myself and actually allow myself to be in a relationship, which is like, do you want to speak to it? Like, why do we need to, we need to do like what we've established. We need to do the inner work. We need to do our healing to call in a match that's healthy for us and to be able to have those tough conversations in the early days and forever and forever. But why do we need to go into a relationship when we've done our healing work?
Because I think a lot of the time, like I mentioned this last night, you know, you can only go so far with your healing work when you're on your own. As you just rightly said, it starts to feel really good. You're enjoying yourself. You're liking yourself. You're loving you again. And life just feels so great. But we all have deeper underlying stuff that will still be vibrationally being like laying there dormant. And I just think if you really want to enjoy life to the fullest capacity that you can, that, you know, sometimes we have to go to those darker spaces to step it up a level vibrationally, to allow us to enjoy our desires, to manifest our desires, to experience things on a whole new level. And relationships are a wonderful environment to have your deepest, darkest stuff triggered, like deep stuff, because we won't do it. Our brain will always try and keep us safe and comfortable. So if we were trying to get into, you know, let's just use an example, the childhood abuse that we went through, would we really go there? Not really, not unless we were kind of forcing ourselves into it. But if we're in a relationship, and for example, I'll give you a personal example, right? So my partner likes to play fight. I tell him all the time, I'm not a young boy. I'm a woman. But anyway, he used to play fight, right? And one time he did something, and I just went like that, and I went, "Why did you do that? Why did you grab my arm like that?" And he was just like, I was only playing, like I was only messing around. And I literally got up, slammed the door. I was so, all this rage and anger had come up, went in the bathroom, tried to compose myself because I could just feel all these tears coming out. And I was shocked by it. I was like, whoa, where has all of this stuff come from? And it was stuff that was buried deep from the years of abuse that I had. It was like, oh, fine. And then I didn't recognize in the early stages when the feeling of stress was building. So when he went and he grabbed my arm, I was like, I just lost it. Yeah. So it's little things like that that wouldn't have come up before, you know, when I was on my own. I'm not going to play fight. I mean, I wouldn't play fight with myself anyway, but I'm not going to do those things for myself. And something that I found really interesting in the dynamics with us as well is that I saw a post you did just on your page just now. Are you dating your father? Because he dating him, I observed a lot, and I could think, he does everything. He's doing these things that my dad does, you know, not in a bad way. They were just characteristics of things that my dad would do. And all of a sudden, before you knew it, I realized I had some daddy issues going on that I genuinely didn't think I had. You know, I knew I had mother issues.
Yeah.
But he brought in a whole nother level of healing that I had to do to step forward in the relationship. And every time I did the work, the relationship got better. Yeah. And it wasn't that I was doing the work because I want the relationship to get better. I always kind of came from the standpoint that I love the guy, but at the same time, if it wasn't going to work, it wasn't going to work. You know, I wanted to do the work for myself so I could feel better, so that I wasn't going to be triggered by somebody trying to play fight me, or I wasn't going to be triggered by the little things, you know.
Yeah.
And it's just that internal wanting to clear.
Yeah.
Wanting to clear out that stuff that you sometimes not even aware is lingering around.
Yeah.
You know,
I completely relate to that. I have a thing where if anybody smacks me on the bum quite hard and I'm not prepared for it, if it takes me by surprise, this fury comes up in me, and I'm like, do not touch me. And then, because, you know, growing up, that was the thing. You're hit on the bum. We were hit, you know, like not a lot. I came from, I was very lucky, I had a very loving family, and I was put over my dad's knee. If there was a problem, I went over dad's knee. I remember one experience where I had to wait all day in my bedroom for dad to come home to then be put over. So it was this build up to then have the smack. And now it's even now, and I talk to James, like, you just like, I don't think it's ever going to go away from me, that feeling. It's just this protective, like, fiery, do not do that. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, but it's like your boundaries as well, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm very similar. Like if you get into my personal space, even if you're messing about, I will go, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do it. And I don't believe that's something that will ever go either, because you know, I just don't like it. I mean,
Yeah.
my children are different, you know, but if it's another adult, it's just like, don't do that. There's space here.
Yeah.
Create space,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But again, it's personal boundaries, and it's important that we have them as well, because it keeps us right, and it keeps the other person right as well.
Yeah. And something I just want to say, because I was very aware of some words that came out of my mouth before, and I just want to clarify, because I think it could be a little bit triggering. I said something like, it's all very well, you do the inner work, you love yourself deeply, I'm good, and then you must go into a relationship to experience the mirror. There's no must. I didn't mean, just to be clear, I didn't mean you must go into a relationship of like an intimate partnership. The women I'm working with who are single, though, who come to me because they desire to be in a relationship, it's when they start saying, but I'm good, and I'm really enjoying the journey, and I'm really enjoying the inner work. That's great for a period of time. And then at some point, it's, yes, the inner work's awesome, and now it's time to put it into practice, because we know your true heart's desire is to be with somebody. That's why we've met. That's why we're having these conversations. That's why we're in coaching. But at some point, you know, and there is absolutely a time for being in the work and doing the inner work. And it would be very easy, because it's a safe little place to hide out, and it looks good. It's like, I'm doing the work, I'm committed to the work. I was in the work for 8 years, so like, and everyone's time frame is their time frame.
Yeah.
And at some point, when the time's right, you suck it up and you put yourself out there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You do.
I think that's really important. But relationship doesn't have to be. It's any relationship. God, it's your relationship with your children can be triggering. Relationships with colleagues, with friends.
Yeah.
Like, it's a choice to make yourself available to learn and evolve through the mirror that is relationships.
Absolutely. I mean, I can reflect back on my previous relationships, and I can hand on heart be really honest and say, well, actually, was I open to bringing awareness to my behavior? Was I open to any of that, to looking at myself? No, I wasn't. I was very much fixated on the other person. And, you know, when those relationships ended, I didn't blame the other person externally, but internally, I didn't have the self-awareness of saying, well, actually, Sam, how did you show up in that relationship too? It's two people that creates a dynamic, you know, it's not just one. I can see now when I reflect back and go, I'm not condoning any behavior, I'm not blaming myself or anyone, but I can see the role that I played. Whereas, you know, I look at that and I think, yeah, I don't want to do that again, because it's disempowering for everyone around me and also myself. So in my mind, it's a case of, I want to do better. And you know, I believe, like, in terms of parenting as well, it's how we teach our children to have self-awareness and emotional wellness, and how they create boundaries. Like, I've never actually sat down with my girls and had a proper conversation about how you create boundaries, how you maintain the boundaries, what you do with this and what you do with that. But what I have done is I've embodied it. So now if you speak to my children, they'll most probably be able to tell you more about this than I can, because I listen to them as well. And I think, yeah, you've been listening.
Yeah,
you've been
totally.
watching.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, my son would be the first to say, my mum would never do something she didn't want to do. You know, it's like, yeah, but once upon a time I did. That's how I lived. I did what I thought I should do, or what other people wanted, and I completely relate to, part of my own healing journey has been to own the part I played in previous relationships, where once upon a time it was all their fault. And I was always pointing the finger, and I was all, because I only knew how to look outside of myself. I had never learned how to look within. And that's been a huge part, which is such an empowering piece, actually, to be in relationship now and about to know, like you said, owning my triggers, continuing to do my work to bring up the conversations that need to be had as part of my continual evolution, you know, and same for my husband. Yeah.
It's really easy to kind of say, you've made me feel this way, you did this to me, you did that, I feel upset because of you. And I think what we have to understand is actually we're in pain when we're in that moment, and it feels like a normal reaction to inflict pain back, but it doesn't get you the result that you want, because it gets people's barriers up and it takes away the accountability for yourself to comfort yourself and know how to in that moment. So the inner work is vital.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. I don't know how long we've been talking for. I don't know what the time is, but I know that you have an appointment to get to. So we probably ought to wrap up. I mean, there's so much more we could share. And I know, Sam, you could share around, and I know I titled this, we're talking about blended families. I think we've shared a lot. It's your expertise, and it's a huge part of the conversation that we have in my Daring and Mighty Love program. The doors aren't open to that at the moment, but they will be opening very soon, and I'll make sure you know about it when they do. But if you're interested in taking that deeper dive into your relationship with yourself and preparing yourself to be able to have a healthy, empowered relationship, you're going to be so welcome to Daring and Mighty Love. And Sam is one of our expert teachers alongside others. In the meantime, though, I have to plug it because we've only got a couple of days left before we start. My 5-day challenge, my 5-day Meet Your Soulmate challenge, starts on Monday. That's completely free. I'll put the link here somewhere for you to register. It's basically me teaching for 5 days and hot seat coaching you and supporting you for an entire week, completely free and virtual. It's online. On how to prepare yourself to call in love. And it's the foundational pieces you absolutely have to have in place to move into and attract a healthy relationship. So we start on Monday. Link will be below. Sam, thank you so much for today. So good to see you. Thank you for your masterclass last night. It was really fun.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure. It was so much fun.
Yeah, well, it's really great to be able to give that individual support to the women as well, for them to ask their individual like parenting questions and relationship questions. And, that's really helpful. So thank you.
You're welcome.
You. Have a beautiful day, and
you as well.
You guys too have a beautiful day, and sending you love. Have a wonderful weekend, and for those that are joining the Meet Your Soulmate Challenge, I'll see you on Monday. Got a big week ahead. See you later.
Take
Bye,
care.
Sam.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.